coming into 2019, I think it's more than fair to say expectations for Charles Leclerc were all over the place, all over the shop. You'd have one end of the spectrum saying, oh, it's too quick, it's too early to get him in the Ferrari. He's going to struggle. He's not proved himself enough at Alfa Romeo. And sorry, Ericsson fans, but I think a lot of people were saying, is Marcus Ericsson the best judge to see Leclerc's pace? Sorry, Ericsson fans, I don't mean to do that to you. Anyway, you then have the other end of the spectrum saying that this guy could be the best of all time. He's going to jump into Ferrari, destroy Sebastian Vettel, and be in the championship hunt. He's going to win it easy. Many people were saying, and definitely over the winter, the shenanigans of winter testing where the majority of the Formula One community expected Ferrari to run away with it in 2019. Of course, that doesn't help expectations for Leclerc. In that first race of the season, you could already see Ferrari weren't looking brilliant, were they? And already in that first race of the season, we were seeing a theme that would go on throughout 2019. Misjudgments of strategy, a little bit of sillinesses with strategy, and overall, when you look at the big picture, I think that's really cost both Leclerc and Vettel in 2019. And at the moment, I don't really see things changing for next year. Anyway, that's definitely a topic for another day. We don't want to talk too much about Ferrari's strategy, but Leclerc's first year in red, his second year in Formula One. Blimey, it seems like he's been here forever, but no, this is only his second full season of Formula One, and next year will be his first time in his whole career he's staying with the same team, which again, that's a very bizarre statistic, but proves how this guy has quickly gone up the ranks. And I think this year, now he's reached the top, I think it's proved why. I definitely think he's been a driver that I expected to do well. I expected him to pick up a few podiums. I expected him to get a couple of pole positions and victories. I didn't expect him to get 7 pole positions. I didn't expect him to get the most pole positions of anyone, beating Sebastian Vettel, beating the best qualifier of all time, Lewis Hamilton. I certainly did not expect that, especially in the first half of the season, where that Ferrari's pace was all over the shop. But what I probably did expect when looking at the amount of podiums and pole positions is that victory tally to be a little bit higher. Only 2 in the end is something that I think he will want to work on for next season. But his teammate Sebastian Vettel only managed 1, unless, you count Canada. We're not opening that can of worms today, though he should have kept Canada. Back on the topic at hand, 2 victories, 2 incredible victories. Spa. Not only was it a dominant performance, which this year we haven't seen too many dominant performances, I think is fair enough to say, but considering that entire weekend, we spoke about it with Pierre Gasly a few days ago, how the emotions, the roller coaster that weekend must have been for those guys was horrendous. I think we all felt it in the community at home, yet alone being there and having to race. That was an emotional day in Spa, and it really just set the tempo for the rest of the season, and Leclerc's maturity. Looking at the team battle, you can see as well, it was tight between Sebastian and Charles. It was 9-12 in favour of Charles in quali, but then in the race it swings back Sebastian's way, but that's definitely helped out by a few retirements early on from Charles Leclerc from his own mistakes, something he's going to have to work on next season. Points battle, 24-point swing, which actually in the end is quite a sizable margin. Considering a victory is 25 points, I think that's very impressive from Charles. 2 victories, 7 poles that we've already spoke about, 10 podiums, now the same amount as Formula One legend Romain Grosjean, 264 points, 4th overall in the standings, and as we said earlier, 7 pole positions and 2 race victories. After that Spa victory, which he couldn't really celebrate. Emotions were all over the place, and it wasn't the right place or time. I fully understand that. And Leclerc's attitude over that entire weekend, and even after the race win, was so mature. I don't think many of us were expecting that. But then how he bounced back again in Monza is why I think a lot of us view that weekend as one of the moments of the season. It wasn't an easy ride to a pole position and a victory. Of course, in qualifying, we had that... How would you describe that qualifying session? Alphabetti spaghetti mess? I think it's not a bad way of doing it. Cars all over the place. we didn't get any representative laps. Actually, Leclerc and Sainz were the only two that got through, but it didn't make a fat lot of difference. But he redeemed himself in the race, and there was a little bit of controversy with a couple of interesting moves on Lewis Hamilton. I'm trying to be as, on the fence as possible here, but it was still an amazing weekend, and the pressure he had, considering Ferrari hadn't won there for donkey's years, in his first year in front of the Tifosi was super impressive, and seeing him up there and just in front of the sea of Ferrari fans was really something to behold, and something we don't often see in Formula 1 these days. And it's nice as well when the whole community can respect something. We don't see that often either in 2019 or modern Formula 1 in general. So those two victories, whilst they were brilliant, there were opportunities for other victories. Bahrain was one that was criminally taken away from him, one of the more sadder moments of the season. Was doing so well, leading the Grand Prix. Some kind of mechanical failure. Manages to limp home third thanks to a late safety car, but that was a painful one. Still hurts me now. His first pole position, though, that weekend, and in the second race of the season, you thought was a sign of things to come, but in that first half of the year, it never really matured. That weekend in Austria was the only other time which really sticks out in my mind to be one where he could have got a victory. Verstappen late on, I think it was the last lap or second to last lap, a little bit aggressive on the overtake, but they let it slide. Hard racing, fair play. Verstappen got the victory, but Leclerc again had pole positions, showed that one of the key criticisms from last year was his one-lap pace, and he was righting those wrongs straight away in 2019. We also had races like Russia. What a mess that weekend was for Ferrari. Should have been an easy victory. Really should have. Sebastian Vettel causing a safety car late on after squabbles with his teammate over the radio. Oh, I don't want to think about it. I really don't. Singapore probably should have gone Leclerc's way, but Ferrari's strategy, like I said earlier, they just couldn't decide. They were just... Ferrari. They need to sort their act out next year, and I know it's difficult when you've got two drivers trying to be number one, and that must be such an awful position for Binotto to be in, but it's cost them this year. It's cost them a hell of a lot of points, and it's something they are going to have to address. When I look at Leclerc's year, when I consider the amount of pressure on his shoulders, when I consider the fact he's in his second year of Formula 1, I have been mega impressed. I've already highlighted races like Belgium, like Monza, but for me, I think his best race of the season was probably Silverstone. He went on that incredible run, actually, between his DNF in his home Grand Prix in Monaco and that DNF in Germany. In Germany, another opportunity he probably could have won. But between those two DNFs, he went on an awesome streak of podiums. He'd only had one before that streak. It started in Canada, ended in Silverstone. But that Silverstone race, his battle with Max Verstappen was so good. Of the highest order. We've seen drivers before perhaps be a little bit tentative when driving under the prancing horse, respecting the badge, but perhaps not, I don't want to say not giving it their all, but perhaps it's a little bit daunting. But I didn't get that feeling at any point in 2019 with Charles. He seemed at home, he seemed ready, he seemed hungry for victories, and that is why I definitely think Ferrari have made the right choice. Nothing's against Kimi, we love Kimi, but Leclerc has just given that little extra edge to the team. He's pushed Sebastian that little bit more, which I don't think Sebastian was quite ready for in 2019. And I'm looking forward to see his reaction next season. But that Silverstone race, that battles he had with Verstappen was so good. One of my moments of the season. And my racing for Charles Leclerc in 2019, with 7 poles, 10, there's room for improvement, I would say. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10, a very strong rating. But definitely there's a few little mistakes which can easily be ironed out next season. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. I am away this week, so I might be a little bit slow at responding. If you're new around here, feel free to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.